Good evening, good morning, good day. I don't know what time zone you're in. Welcome to Northwestern. It's live from Northwestern. It's the garage. My name is Mauricio Gonzalez. I'm an assistant director of admission at Northwestern. I also have the privilege of calling myself an alum. I graduated 2 years ago with my degree in psychology and a certificate in integrated marketing communications, but that's not important right now. What is important are the lovely guests who are with me here today. So why don't we just take a quick moment and have y'all introduce yourselves.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm Matt Zients. I'm a senior here at Northwestern. I'm from Washington, D.C. I'm studying social policy, design, and playwriting. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Lilliana DeSouza. I'm a junior here at Northwestern studying computer science and entrepreneurship in McCormick, the School of Engineering, and I'm from South Florida.
Hey everybody, my name is Melissa Kaufman. I am the executive director of The Garage, the space that we're in tonight.
Amazing. Thank you for being here. I have a quick question before we do begin. So what's up with this confetti here?
Yes, so there's a lot of confetti on the floor and the table. We just finished up our weekly event for our students that are incubating at the garage called Family Dinner, which is the one time that all of our students are together in the garage at the same time. Otherwise, it's a 24/7 space, so they're kind of like ships passing in the night. And one of our traditions that we do is we want to create a space on campus that really celebrates and embraces failure, because that's a big part of the entrepreneurial journey. So as part of that, during our family dinner, we use a confetti popper. Tonight we actually used 2 confetti poppers for a team to celebrate their failures that week. And we do the confetti popper they share a story about what they learned, and then we all have dinner together.
Nice. So it's done every week?
Every week during the academic quarter, yeah.
So who cleans this up?
Our lovely night crew that comes in the evenings.
Amazing.
They probably chuckle to themselves every week.
I love it.
We try to do big confetti and not like glittery confetti. It's easier to clean up.
That's a good idea. Good move. I really love it. I love the enthusiasm. Well, we're really lucky. Again, we're really happy that we're here tonight because this is one of the first times that we're doing this. So thank you so much for being here. But Melissa, since you're the executive director, I want to sort of kick things off with you.
Sure. So
what is the garage for those students out there who aren't really familiar with what Northwestern has to offer through the garage?
Yeah, so the garage is, it's a space, a physical space that we're all sitting in. It's a 10,000 square foot facility on our Evanston campus. But more importantly, it's a community of students that are interested in entrepreneurship and innovation and want to have that as part of their Northwestern experience.
Awesome. That's really good to hear because I can't tell y'all how many times the garage is mentioned. So y'all are really popular, but we just wanted to get that down for those students who are turning in for the first time, sort of hearing about this amazing space. So how did you get here, Melissa, to sort of be the executive director of the garage? What's your background like?
Sure. So I've been here, this is my 4th year at Northwestern. It's gone by really fast. I should have graduated by now if I was a student. But before that, the 10 years before coming to Chicago, I was living in San Francisco, and I worked for half of that time at Google and YouTube, doing product marketing, business development. And then I followed some of my colleagues to their startup companies. So I worked at 2 startups, one in fashion tech, one in shopping. One was successful, one was not. And then at that point, I was sick of building other people's ideas and decided to start my own company. So it was called Storylark, and it was the first visual influencer marketing agency.
That's awesome. I'm really happy to hear, and we're really lucky to have you here. I mean, with those experiences, that's pretty awesome. And I know y'all have some great experiences that we'll get to in a few seconds. So given your background and sort of what you have to offer here at Northwestern, what's your own philosophy in entrepreneurship, and how does that sort of take place here on campus?
Yeah, I mean, I really believe entrepreneurship isn't something you can learn in the classroom. I don't just think you can read case studies or listen to podcasts about how other entrepreneurs have done it. You really have to, it's an activity. It's something that you have to live and do yourself. So for students, that means, in addition to the classes that they're taking, that they're learning about startups, I'd love for students to work on their own entrepreneurial project while they're at Northwestern. We don't tell them if their idea is good or bad. That's part of the journey and what we want students to figure out for themselves. But we want to give them, the space, the community, the free coffee, all the things that they need to come together and work on those ideas. And ultimately, it's not about, the secret is we don't really care if their startup is a success or a failure.
Okay.
We want them to be a success. And for us, that means that we want them to have an entrepreneurial toolkit and a mindset so that they go on to be great leaders, whether that means of founding their own company or working out in industry.
Yeah. So you're sort of already touching about the idea of success, and we also sort of touch upon the idea of failure. Can you elaborate a little bit more if there's anything else that you want to share about what success looks like to you in the garage or just in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes many different forms. Like I said, I think if you go on to be a successful doctor, but maybe you're more innovative, or maybe if you are a lawyer or a business leader or a nonprofit leader, the future really belongs to these innovative thinkers that can create the next generation of companies and institutions and nonprofits.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We want to help Northwestern students become those leaders.
Yeah, that's what I really like to hear. So I think a lot of questions that we get from the admission side, and we get a lot of amazing students out around the country and around the world asking us how the garage supports students and everything along those lines. But they always ask me and other admission directors, how exactly do students get involved with the garage? And well, again, I'll be asking y'all, so it's a little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason that we wanted to bring two students today is so that they can we have so many programs and resources. I think it's best kind of heard through their own thoughts and perspectives. So maybe with that, we'll turn over to one of you guys.
Yeah.
Lilliana, you take a stab at that?
How do students get involved?
Yeah, how do you get involved?
Yeah. How did you get involved with the garage?
So I transferred here last year, so fall of 2018 as a sophomore. So I had heard of the garage because my older cousin went here, but I didn't know a lot about it because he wasn't involved in it. So when I got here, I saw a poster that the garage was having startup matchmaking, which is an event that they have every quarter at the beginning of the quarter for anyone who's involved or who's interested in the garage in any capacity to come. Okay. And we hear pitches from anyone who's part of the garage who wants to pitch their startup or their idea, who's looking for members. So I came here and I heard a pitch from the Entrepreneurship Club, which is a student group on campus that the garage supports, but it's kind of its own thing. And so I joined that from the pitch that they gave there. So startup matchmaking is really the answer.
Yeah, awesome.
My story is interesting. I came to Northwestern around the time that the garage was really picking up steam and doing a lot of cool things. And so I was lucky in my first week to hear about the garage. And so I came at my first opportunity right after Wildcat Welcome, and I sat through the family dinner, which was awesome, really cool community going on here, and looking around the room, just looking at students who were working on really cool projects, and I got really excited and jazzed up, and I decided that I had the courage to go up to Melissa right after family dinner ended, and she might be able to remember, maybe she doesn't, probably a lot of students like this, but I just rapid fire talked her ear off about what I was working on and what I was excited about and what I saw for my project. And I think this was the best advice I got, one of the best pieces of advice I've gotten since I came to Northwestern. Melissa just calmed me down. She was like, I'm so happy you're here. It's awesome you found your way here so early in your Northwestern career. But let's remember, it's very early in your Northwestern career. You're going to have so many opportunities to be involved with what we're doing. We'll always be here. Just get settled. Start getting into a rhythm with your classes, and we'll be here. And so lo and behold, I, came throughout the fall quarter, but I think I waited till the winter or spring of my first year to apply to be a resident, and spend some time tinkering on my project. And it's been one of the best parts of my experience here at Northwestern. Excited to talk more about it, but that was how I discovered the garage, and started to get settled, and I found it really welcoming, and I'm excited to hopefully be that first touch point for students now, as Melissa's given me the opportunity to be a peer mentor here at the garage, which has been really awesome.
Yeah, you covered a lot of great ground. I have a lot of questions just in general for all of you. Thank you to all of you for sharing so far. Wow, I have a lot of questions now, and I need to take a quick moment to sort of collect my thoughts. My first question that I can remember is, do you sort of already need to have entrepreneurial experience to come into the garage? Is that required? Or did y'all have that before you came here? You sort of touched upon how you got here, but did you have that experience in high school or your previous college?
I personally did, but I would say the majority of students kind of have an interest in entrepreneurship or have some exposure to it, just in reading about different startups or following the news. But really, all levels are welcome, seriously, and I really mean that, and I've seen that in action here. Students come from a range of backgrounds, all schools across the university, and all different entry points in terms of how they join teams and contribute to the startups here, which has been awesome.
Yeah.
I really feel like the majority of people in the garage got involved because they had a passion for it, but maybe didn't have experience in the past. So like I have never done anything around entrepreneurship, like business really wasn't talked about in my home. So I've really had to learn everything since I've gotten here, but I really think that's the majority, and that's why the garage is so special, is because it's so welcoming, and the events that they have where they open their doors and invite everyone in is, if you take advantage of it, like he said, it's really going to change your Northwestern career. So the way that I learned and have now become a part of the garage is because it's truly immersive. Like all the programs we're going to talk about and stuff, it doesn't matter if you don't have it in your background, like you will learn so quickly because of the community.
Yeah, awesome. And Melissa, I actually have a question for you.
Sure.
So we're talking a little bit about these first steps. So what do the traditional first steps look like for students who A, want to get involved with the garage,
Yeah.
and B, like, you know, it's their first week or first month in the garage. Like, what is their day-to-day or however long they spend here sort of look like?
So we're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 10 p.m.
Yeah.
to the entire Northwestern community. So any student can just walk in the door and sit right here. We're sitting in our cafe space, can come sit in here, put in your headphones, get your laptop, drink some free coffee, and just like pick up on the vibe. I'd say like that's the best way to just start experiencing it. From there, you know, if you're interested in entrepreneurship, it's good to get a little bit of a foundation. So I'd encourage students to go take a class. A lot of the entrepreneurship classes are taught out of the Farley Center, which is in our engineering school, but those classes are open to students across all of Northwestern. So take an intro class, project-based class, learn a little bit of the principles behind entrepreneurship. From there, we do open up our doors for a lot of events. So startup matchmaking is a really good one. A lot of students want to be involved but don't have an idea for their own startup. So startup matchmaking is an opportunity to come meet students who already have ideas and join their teams. I feel like that's been a really great way for students to get involved. And then the student clubs, so particularly EPIC, which is the undergraduate entrepreneurship club. The garage helps support that club, but it's all student run and managed. So that's another good way just to learn from your peers.
Yeah, awesome. And I know that you're involved with EPIC, Lilliana. Do you sort of want to elaborate on that experience?
Yeah, so I'm about to be the president of EPIC, and this past year we've really rebranded it to be the really welcoming point of the garage for all of the new students who are about to come, because a lot of you may not have had experience in the past but are super interested. So we've been having these general membership sessions where we have people from the garage or guest speakers, and we really teach you all the fundamentals and skills that you need to know in order to put the ideas or passion that you have for entrepreneurship into action to then join the garage. So that's the point of EPIC, really like a community.
Yeah.
I have a question actually for Matt.
I'll pass this on to you.
So we've mentioned, I think we may have mentioned the residency program in passing, which is our incubation program for student founders. Could you talk a little bit more about what that program is, like student to student, how you explain it to another student, and when is the right time for students to apply?
Totally. So the residency program is kind of like once you've gotten, you know, your footing in the garage, you've gotten like settled here and really gotten to know you know the community, the space, the staff here who are all fantastic through the Tinker program. You spend a couple quarters there like working on your idea and, you know, tinkering with it as you will, if you will, and then, you know, using the resources of the garage, the staff and the team here, you can kind of start to work on your application and start to work towards residency, which is awesome. And so residency is you're actually given a desk back over there and you know, a spot for your startup to really, you know, anchor themselves, and access to spaces back here as well for meetings and meeting with mentors, which has been fantastic for me with my project and for my peers as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Did that make sense to you? This is like the first time you're hearing about our residency program.
I've never heard. I don't know if y'all can hear me.
They can't.
But I've never heard of Tinker. So is Tinker sort of like the first touch point, and then residency is like the, I guess, like quote unquote final step?
Everything
then?
that we've done at the garage has grown organically based on student demand. So I think that's what makes us really different than any other university, is that as the founding executive director, I basically came in, was given a blank slate, and I decided to build all of our programs around who our student body was and what student needs are. So the garage, what it is today, has been an evolution of what students have wanted and needed, including that's how the Tinker program came to be. And I imagine the space will continue to grow to meet student demand over time. So the Tinker program was originally just one student who came in, who had an idea he just wanted to mess around with and use our 3D printers. We said, sure, come on in. He was a backpacker, and he wanted to create like a 3D printed tripod for his camera that he could like take with him that was really lightweight on his backpack. And so we just kind of were like, well, we don't have a program for that, so we'll just make up a name for it. We'll call it the Tinker Program. And it was just Jacob and his project. And then over time, that's really grown to be like our entry point for any student that just kind of is at that ideation phase, maybe doesn't have like a business or a team or need mentorship or a desk yet, but is generally interested in entrepreneurship and wants to be part of the Garage.
Yeah.
We've also just realized a lot of students are trying to resume build by joining the Garage because there have been a lot of successful startups. So that's also a way for us just to watch a group of students and see who's really serious. We have limited resources, even in terms of the number of desks that we have. So we want to make sure that the students that are here that take those spots in our residency program are really serious about what they're working on.
Yeah, it sort of makes sense. And it kind of, I can like see it, and I'm like kind of jealous of y'all in a good way, because I graduated from Northwestern. I'm like, oh, I should have done that when I was here, but it's never too late for these prospective
What was your
students.
major? Why did we miss out on you?
I don't know. I studied psychology, but I actually changed my major, not to like deviate from the conversation. I was a chem major, then a psych major, then an econ major, then a double major, then a psych major with an IMC certificate. So I was sort of all over the place.
But mostly South Campus. Right?
Mostly South Campus,
So for everybody on our YouTube stream, we are on the very north end of our campus. And when it's cold out, like it's a bit of a walk. So you really have to want to be here to make the trek up.
Exactly.
To that point of changing majors, which is something that's like really special about Northwestern, is being able to kind of like shop around and understand what really drives you and makes you excited academically. The Garage kind of understands that, and I think meets students where they are. Like there have been quarters where I was busy on on my project, on my venture, but also with other things academically or extracurricularly. And what's really cool that we haven't mentioned yet is that between the residency and the Tinker program, there is some fluidity. So you can kind of bounce back and forth between those and not feel like you're failing yourself or your startup's a failure. But the Garage really meets you where you are as a student. We as students, and I'm sure Melissa would attest to this, like we expect students to be serious about their projects and spending time here and immersing themselves in our community. But also like we're realistic, and if you need to step to take a side step to tinker for a little bit and scale it down for a second and then go back to residency, that also happens a lot. I think that's been really special for me as well. Yeah,
I like that sort of mindset. I think it just sort of attests to how Northwestern sort of functions. I mean, y'all are students. I'm an alum. You've been here. And it's just like, I feel like y'all are selling me on the Garage. I mean, I was already sold, which is why I'm here. But I really, really, like as an alum, I feel weird, but I feel like really proud of y'all for like your hard work and everything. Speaking of growth, you sort of already started touching upon that. So the Garage came in 2015, right? Mm-hmm. Could you talk a little bit about how much the Garage has grown in terms of how many startups y'all have been able to support, ideas, anything along those lines?
Yeah, I think since we opened, we've had 350 student-founded startups come through the Garage. On average, we get about 1,000 students a month through the space, either for class or just hanging out in our space. We also have two other sites. So besides the headquarters kind of is our Evanston location, we do have a location on our downtown Chicago campus for some of our graduate students and alums. And we also have a team member who's out in San Francisco, in the academic space out in San Francisco, who helps support our efforts and just kind of the Bay Area being the hub of entrepreneurial and startup activity, who works with our 16,000 alums in the Bay Area, many of whom who work in tech. Help build a community for them and build a pipeline of those alums to help support students back on campus, to offer them internships, funding, jobs, like you name it.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's
awesome.
That's kind of how we started to grow. We started doing other things. This is a co-curricular space, so there's no grades, there's no courses at the Garage, but everything we do is really about experiential learning. And we just got back from a new city we have not taken students to before. We went to Austin, Texas. Matt was one of the students that went with us. Do you want to talk a little bit just about that trip and like what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, I'll be careful not to use too many superlative words because it was really a fantastic trip. I had so much fun. So I'm part of a program here that the Garage is piloting right now called X Factor, which is helping me and some other students look at our personalities and our leadership styles, and working kind of in an interdisciplinary way with the psychology department and professors there, and Melissa as well, doing some really, really cool work on kind of leadership development. So I've loved that. And we were a group of students who got to go to Austin, the 8 of us. We left last Thursday. We got back on Sunday night. We had a fantastic time. We got to, experience Austin as this really cool city that also has a lot of awesome startups and tech and, innovation happening in it, in and around it. And so we visited different startups. We got to see 3 different startups. We got to see Bumble's headquarters, which was really awesome. They're doing really cool work, beyond dating in other, arenas in business, matching, as well as like Bumble BFF. So that was really, really cool to see, and inspiring to see kind of what a startup can grow into and evolve. It's a mighty team of, however many they are there, serving millions and millions of people around the world. So that was really cool. We got to meet some alumni who are in the area in Austin working in tech and other fields. And I say this genuinely, it was like the coolest alumni panel I've ever experienced. Not only are like Northwestern alums really cool and awesome, but it was like it was so honest and so real. And it really settled me, being a senior, thinking about my next moves. It really helped me kind of reflect based on what I've learned through the program, the X Factor program, but also just hearing from people who, were here in Evanston not that long ago, or for some of them a while ago, but getting really cool advice from them. Was fantastic. We ate a lot of yummy food and, got to know. It's very different. It was a very different experience being with some of the students who I spend time with at the garage all the time, being somewhere else with them and being surrounded by this innovation. I think we all grew really close and got to know each other in a way that was awesome. So I'm super grateful for that.
Do you have a follow-up question?
I think that was awesome. I'm just like enticed by everything y'all are saying.
Well, while we're talking about like amazing trips that we take here at the Garage for experiential learning, the week before we went to Austin, it's not always like this. The week before we actually went to Los Angeles through a different program that Lilliana is part of, which is called the Little Joe Ventures Fellowship in Entrepreneurship, which is a fellowship where we pick 5 sophomore students that show a lot of potential for entrepreneurship. We expose them to experiences and a network of people that they wouldn't have access to otherwise. It also comes with a $5,000 stipend that they can work on their startup project, or they can apply to opportunities like unpaid internships. And as part of the experiential learning, we went to Los Angeles. And what did we do?
Busy season in the garage. We're really
it is.
Doing all
It's
these
busy travel
trips.
season.
Yeah. So through the generosity of one of our alum named Tony Owens, I got to go to LA through this fellowship like Melissa talked about. So the point of the Little Joe Fellowship is that it was started to basically choose people who have really high potential in their entrepreneurial journey based on like the passion that they show and maybe some of their experiences here, to really immerse them in the world outside of Northwestern. So we have a lot of events. We get to go on this amazing trip, like she said, to LA. So out in LA, we went to SpaceX. We had lunch with Elon Musk's mother, May. We went to, where else? Goop. We went and Snapchat. Yeah, we went to a lot of really, really cool places out there, and we got to talk to a lot of entrepreneurial colleagues of our donor, and it was just so immersive. Like I talked before about how even if you don't know entrepreneurship before, the garage is the way that when you go on these trips or you talk to the people that are around here, it really becomes like you speak the language of business so fluidly, and it really helps you be successful in whatever you want to do, whether it's you choose to go entrepreneurial or, like Melissa said, you go elsewhere. So that's the point of the fellowship, and I'm so grateful. It was such a good trip.
That's awesome. I think one thing that's just really poignant about the two of you sitting here is, like, Matt, you kind of grew up in an entrepreneurial family. You've been around tech and this idea for a long time growing up. But Lilliana, this was like completely new to you. And you like didn't know about entrepreneurs. You told me you didn't know what venture capital was before you came here, but now you know exactly what that is. And I think that just the garage really helps like level the playing field for all students. It shows you the lens of entrepreneurship through your own eyes, your own journey, your own passions, and students leave like with the same leadership potential in entrepreneurship as regardless of background, which is really important. Do you want to add anything on that? Yeah,
totally. I think that it's been really cool being a peer mentor this year, seeing students who Melissa mentioned how like maybe south, if you're living far south, it's just like, you know, geographically far, but trust me, it's worth the trek. If you're living in Willard at some point or somewhere south and you want to come to the garage, it's well worth it. And we will welcome you with open arms. I really think that there's a spot here for everyone, regardless of their passions, their interests, to learn and grow. And at the very least, I mean, this is a fantastic kind of pseudo coffee shop space to do work in. And you never know like what conversations you'll overhear or, jump into. But yeah, I think I totally echo that sentiment. And it's been awesome getting to know all the students here and share ideas and and grow together. I'm like getting sentimental because I'm gonna have to leave Evanston soon, but but this
really
this
sad.
space is so special to me, and so I'm glad I can share it with you all watching on YouTube.
Yeah, and kind of towards that, the why is the garage like important here? When I was a transfer student and came here, I really didn't know anyone because everyone kind of had already formed friends, and I didn't know what I wanted to do other than I knew my major. So when I came in here and started getting involved in here more and more throughout the year last year, it truly became like my family here and my community here, and that's why it's like so special, because it's not just another engineering building. It's not like the theater auditorium. It's like it has people here. It's like a center or a home for the people who are part of it, and that's why it's beautiful to me.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm even getting sentimental just like listening to y'all.
What I just realized is we haven't had either of them touch on what their projects are.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I was gonna like at the beginning, I was gonna ask them like, so what exactly do y'all do? I mean,
We're
know
just gonna draw it
based
out.
on background
Is anyone
information.
still watching us? So, like, we're just seeing, like, does
We're
anybody out there care?
Is anyone out there still there? No. Yeah, let's just hear about your projects, what y'all are up to. Give
Why
us
don't you
your
go
sales pitch. Tell us why your project is so great.
Okay, so I'm working on my second project right now, but I'll go back to the first one. So I got into the residency program through pitching at this competition that the administration and the student government puts on at Northwestern called Improve NU, which is super cool. I'm not sure if they do it at other universities, but the administration will sit there and listen to pitches that the students give on how to improve the university. So the top 3 people were actually all part of the garage, and I won first place, which made me a resident here for my pitch of a campus-wide safety initiative, because I saw a lot of safety incidences that were occurring in the year that could be avoided by educating the incoming classes on how to be safe, because you guys are going to be living on your own for the first time. So I did a whole program in orientation this past September, and it was successful. And we handed out personal safety alarms to each one and really give them the resources that they need. And now I'm transitioning out of that into my first venture, so a real incorporation that is going to be a mental health app focusing on helping patients who have clinical depression. Yeah.
It's really good work. Happy to hear that.
Yeah, so cool. So I was part of a program in high school that was like a social entrepreneurship boot camp. For anyone who's watching in DC, you might know it. It's called Learn Serve. Very cool program. But so I had worked in Learn Serve in kind of identifying an issue that I was passionate about, and then trying to craft a solution around that issue. So a lot of the stuff we do at the garage here in terms of entrepreneurship. And so, yeah, so I've been working with my little brothers and a team here at Northwestern, and we're focused on trying to use today's technology to encourage more young people, so like me and you all, to volunteer more and be more civically engaged. And so that's looked like many different things. It's looked like an app where you could log in and discover a nonprofit that matched your interests. It then looked like a texting service, which we launched this past fall at Northwestern, where Northwestern students were texted every couple days about different volunteer opportunities that were happening in Evanston and Chicago on campus, and around the world that you could engage with remotely as well. And now, through Melissa's mentorship, through mentorship with other, working with other mentors here at the garage, we're working on pivoting a little bit and, learning as we do, and working with companies on figuring out how they can get involved in the conversation and get more young people volunteering, and allowing companies to really live their values, while also encouraging young people to get out and volunteer. So it's been a lot of pivots, a lot of ups and downs, but I wouldn't, and understanding failure and learning from failure and growing fast. But I think the garage has really, kept me on my feet and kept it all in perspective and helped me kind of grow as a person, a leader, and a collaborator. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So sort of on the topic of what we're talking about, that's redundant, I apologize. So you mentioned community service oriented organization startups. That's sort of also what your company does in a way, or not in a way, it's what y'all do. I have a question for anyone who can address this. I'm also pulling in questions from y'all, so feel free to drop them in the comments. I see y'all. I'm not ignoring you. What are some other community service startups that are here that came from the garage? Or do you have any examples of any like social justice geared startups that you can share with the audience?
So one of the best ways for students with those interests to get involved at the garage is, like I mentioned, our space is 24/7. And on the weekends, the staff's not here, but we open up the space to some student groups. So Epic meets here on the weekends, but so does an organization called the Global Engagement Summit, GES, who just pitched tonight that they do an annual summit where they bring kind of social impact and social justice leaders from around the world to Evanston once a year for a big summit. And they're bringing in more Northwestern students to participate in that this year. It's a great opportunity to meet other kind of folks from around the world that are interested in the same thing. So that's one great way. Matt's startup is a nonprofit, so we have a couple of those that are in the garage. And I'm trying to think who else is here right now. There's one called Community Currency a couple years that was collecting, as students went on like abroad trips and had foreign currency, they could bring it back to the garage or other places on campus and put it in a drop box, and then that money was donated to a nonprofit partner that they've been working with. So those are just two examples of like different flavors that have come through here. And then GES is another great way to get involved.
There's a lot that focus on sustainability.
And there are a lot that focus on sustainability in different ways as well. Fashion startup, they were just sitting in the cafe here a little while ago on fashion sustainability and some other initiatives.
That's awesome. Happy to hear that. Thanks for sharing, y'all.
Of course.
Is there anything else that you sort of wanted to share on that before? I mean, we don't have to transition straight into questions, but I'm also like paying attention to y'all and glancing as they
No, it's good. I think there's just one other program that I wanted to let everyone know about, and then we can definitely open. I think that's the last thing that
do all the plugs. Do everything that you want to share with us tonight.
Well, while we have the students here, so one of the things we noticed over the first couple of years is that we were getting a lot of guys at the garage, and the women weren't showing up. So we started asking the women students, like, why aren't you coming to the garage? And they felt that they needed to take more classes or get more hard skills first. And so to encourage the women to participate earlier, we created a program thanks to a gift from a donor, an alumni donor, called Propel, which is for women to get more involved at the garage earlier. So it's an all-women cohort of students, all-women mentorship, and they do a showcase at the end of the year to show the progress on their ideas.
That's awesome.
It comes with up to $1,000 stipend, which is a way to encourage the women to come to the garage and start working on their ideas, like really, really early stage. So Lilliana is one of our Propel participants.
Amazing.
Propellers this quarter.
So they call us propellers. The point of Propel, it's like, I know, it's really cute.
It is really cute.
It's like you can be part of Propel and still a resident or a tinker. Like you can really or a fellowship. Like you can cross over all of these programs. As you can see, I'm in like 3 of them, and so you can really eat up all the garage has to offer. And Propel is super cool because I'm meeting all of these women that wouldn't normally come into the garage, but because they've pitched their idea, they went through an interview, and then they've gotten a stipend to work on their project. It's sort of validating to people who were kind of timid to come in this space before, and we get paired with a female mentor who we have to meet with pretty much bi-weekly. The program is from January to May, and then in May we have our Propel Showcase, which is where we present what we've done in the past few months. So it's really motivating to be in a community of women. We also have speakers who are coming, and we have events where we bond, and so it's really about making a community within a community. So I really like Propel.
Yeah. I have a quick question just to follow up.
Yeah.
So are those mentors, whether they be through Propel or any of the other mentorship programs available at the garage, are they usually alumni from Northwestern, or?
We have awesome. So like the people is what makes the garage great.
Yeah.
Our students are great, but so are the mentors we've surrounded them with. It's a combination of like local business leaders, accomplished serial entrepreneurs, just alums that work in tech or in business or nonprofits that want to give back. And we kind of have them tiered in different ways. So some of them actually physically sit here at the garage every day. They've started companies like Grubhub and Peapod, if those are companies people have heard of. They've worked at places like Facebook. They've gone through programs like Y Combinator. So they're just really accomplished people that sit alongside the students working on their next venture. And then we have about 250 other people that are in our mentorship network, some alums, some all over the country, the world, that basically have said, if students call me from Northwestern, I'll pick up the phone.
That's awesome.
So that's just a great community of people that are, rooting for students and want them to be successful.
Yeah, and just as another follow-up question, I'm like, I feel like I'm asking questions for the sake of me knowing all of these things.
You can just turn off the live stream.
Yeah,
it
like
could just be Q&A for you.
Your questions are so important, but I also want to get my own questions answered for the record. Are these? Oh wow, I just lost my train of thought. For these access to these alumni mentors, are they sort of reserved for people in the garage, for residents, for tinkers, or
we've
kind of
tiered them over time. So like for the first stop, we encourage students to come in and just talk to a peer. So like Matt, and I think, are you doing it not this quarter? I'm sure you will in the future. So just talk to a student who's already part of the garage and learn from them. again, join Epic, like learn from some of your peer organization stuff, and they'll teach you. From there, like, anybody can come and meet with our entrepreneurs and residents, but we ask that you've met with a peer and some other folks first before you take up really valuable time from those folks. But yeah, I mean, we try to be as open here to everybody as we can and share resources.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But some programs are super special because they require you to be paired with a mentor. So you get given like an individual mentor, like for Propel and for the residency, you get paired with a mentor, and is your kind of duty to have these meetings with them. And that's what makes it so special, because for me at least, it really keeps me on track and makes me like progress in my startup, and that's part of like what makes me successful.
Yeah,
the accountability piece is like one of our core values. Like, we want to help students learn how to be accountable
that's
in their
super
ventures.
important. Yeah, absolutely. Matt, I know that you talked a little bit about your experience with the mentorship programs. Or do you or Lilliana sort of want to share like a specific example of one of your favorite experiences that has come out of mentorship through the garage?
Yeah, I think
whether you were the mentor, mentee, anything along those lines.
Totally. I think that so two things. So first, I get to do a lot of with my like peer mentoring through the system that we use. Like, I'll just get emails that's like X, Y, or Z, student with their Northwestern email has scheduled time with you. And I can't tell you how excited I am when I get that email. It means that like in the next couple days, I'm going to get to like sit down with a fellow undergrad or grad student and chat through like what they're passionate about, what they're excited about working on, and figure out that how to get them to that first next step of how they can really start to put their idea into action. So that's been really awesome to be able to be a peer mentor and kind of take a lot of the lessons I've learned over the last 3.5 years from the mentors here and from Melissa and her team, and pass those on and get people excited about joining the garage. With my mentors here, I've worked with several. Melissa's right. The network is really extensive and awesome. And I think I've been like trained in how to do that kind of like professional outreach and be respectful of people's time and be a little bit more succinct than I'm being right now, because I'm very long-winded. But
I'm sure they're loving it, all of what is being shared tonight. So again, we appreciate it. Go on and just keep talking.
Thanks. But yeah, so like be succinct and, have that one-liner and know what you're trying to get out of that, 30-minute chat, be it in person at one of the great workspaces here or on the phone in one of our soundproof spots back there, which is really cool. We have these soundproof booths, which you can see behind me. But yeah, so I think that's been great. I had a call as recently as yesterday with a new mentor that I'm going to be working with. And he's an awesome alum who's working kind of at this intersection of nonprofit, tech, business stuff. So it's been really awesome. I've really had great experiences with the mentors. And that's a huge part of kind of moving through college and beyond.
Yeah.
So we really believe in the see one, do one, teach one methodology in the garage and also in our fellowship. And so since I've seen and I've done, my new thing in this past year of being an upperclassman has been teaching. So whether that's in Epic, like the general membership I talked about, where I'm planning these events, giving presentations to the underclassmen who want to learn. I'm also a teacher's assistant for some of the Farley classes, which is the entrepreneurship, which you should definitely take. They're super awesome. It's part of where I learned everything that I know for entrepreneurship. And so teaching my students there has become one of my most look forward to things in my year, the quarter that I TA. And so like you were saying, like mentoring is really the joy for us.
Do you have a question? I was going to say there's...
No, go ahead. Yeah.
The one thing that we haven't touched on is what happens to students after the garage.
Yeah, I definitely want to know about that, because you sort of have already been talking about our alumni mentor. So what does happen with students after the garage?
So now we have this amazing community, 4 years worth of students, both undergrads and grads who've graduated, have gone through the garage, who are out in the world. Some of whom are doing entrepreneurial ventures full time. We have students that have gone through the garage have raised $144 million for their venture project. And the rest of them, a lot of them are working at companies like Apple and Google and Facebook and Uber and McKinsey and these top tier either tech or professional services companies.
Yeah. So
it's just really it's this amazing robust network of people that really love the garage and now understand their obligation to pay it back and serve as mentors and resources to students.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that's beautiful about the garage is as we continue to grow and mint more alums out into the world, that just becomes another resource for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sort of curious because I know of a few startups that have come out of the garage. Yep. Including yours, all of yours. It's great stuff. Are there any alumni who are continuing to pursue their startup? And do you have an example of an experience that sort of came out of the garage and is still going on right now?
Yeah, I can give you 2 quick examples. So there was a company that started here, I think our very first year, called Zcroot, and it started as a football analytics recruiting software. And there was a student that was really passionate about football and analytics, and it was kind of like Moneyball, but for collegiate football. And he started that company here out of the garage, recruited a team, got a full-time offer after graduation to work at a consulting company, and deferred it so he could work on his company full-time. And about 6 months after graduation, his company was acquired. And so that was the first acquisition to come out of the garage. He still works for the parent company. A couple years later, he went from, his first client, I think, or customer being Northwestern's football team to, I think they work with, the 50 top football programs in the country.
Wow.
So all the big ones that you could probably name, they're working with. So that's really exciting to see that. And he's only 24 years old, I think, 25 maybe. And so I'm so excited to see what he'll do next.
Yeah.
Similarly, last year, there was an alum who graduated who started a company called Brew Bike, which started as 2 freshmen that really wanted to start a cold brew coffee company on campus. And I think that was a really interesting example of someone who wanted to solve a problem here on campus, and really watching from literally ideation here at the garage to something that they got off the ground. They participated in our summer program. We do a full-time summer program for students that want to work on entrepreneurial endeavors, to a full-fledged coffee on a bike, brew bike, and then a coffee shop. And now they're a venture funded. They've raised $2 million, and they are not franchising, but they're opening chapters of brew bike on other college campuses, including UT Austin, where we just were, and University of Miami, both places that you guys know well. So
there you go.
All comes full circle.
Yeah, and who isn't a fan of coffee? I mean, I know Brew Bike because as a student and alum, I venture there pretty often. So I like to thank y'all. I know that y'all don't work for Brew Bike, but thank you.
And now we have great cold brew coffee on our campus, thanks to a student and alum.
Amazing. Yeah. Is there anything that y'all want to share?
Another really successful startup that I look up to a lot is Sam Letcher, who started Bossy Chicago.
Yeah, she graduated with me. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Sam is my friend now, and so she's super involved in the garage. I didn't meet her when she was a student, but she has come back and become my mentor, and a lot of other women in the garage. She is a mentor to them, and she started basically a company that helps women-owned businesses. It's like a collective in Chicago, so it's helping all these other female entrepreneurs, and she went and worked on it full-time. So she's kind of my inspiration.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks
so
for sharing.
Lots of examples, which is really exciting, because that's not even our goal, is to help students become entrepreneurs right after graduation.
Yeah.
But if we do our job really well, so the ones that really want to do that will be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm just taking a quick second to look at these questions.
Read some questions.
Yeah. It just looks like, without intending to do so, we've covered a lot of these questions.
Oh, good.
So if there's anything that you're curious about, this will be living on our YouTube channel afterwards. So feel free to rewind and rewatch this. But I think a lot of the questions are sort of tied to this idea. Do you have to be studying? Well, we don't have a business major here at Northwestern, but do you have to be studying like economics or having a minor in entrepreneurship or anything along those lines to be involved with the garage, which we addressed, but if there's any wrap-up
the
thoughts.
short answer is no, but I think it would be good for you guys to touch on the fact. I think this is actually confusing when you're looking at Northwestern from the outside, because we don't have a business, there's Kellogg, which is the business school at the MBA level, but there is no equivalent. There's no Kellogg at the undergraduate level.
Yeah.
So how students that are interested in business deal with that, it'd be good for you guys to touch on that.
Yeah.
You can go first, yeah.
Okay, so there's the Farley Center, which is part of McCormick, and that's the Center for Entrepreneurship. And so they offer a minor that you can complete. I think it's 9 courses, and I've taken a lot of those courses, which are super cool, and that's really based in entrepreneurship. So it's not teaching you basic economics. It's teaching you how to find what a customer wants, how to do user research, and how to build a company from the ground up. And then there's other programs, but there's no business major, but you really get an immersive experience by doing these minors, in my opinion, and then you can choose something else to study that will supplement that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'd also just say, if what we're talking about interests you at all, show up to the garage, come say hi. They're the team here is very friendly. The students here are excited to talk to you about your ideas and see if you're a fit for their team. So there's no there are truly all 6 undergraduate colleges are represented here. And you see that with the types of things that people are working on and what they're excited about and what gets them going and gets them excited in that entrepreneurship space. So it's really, really open to students from all backgrounds and we're excited about, the interdisciplinary nature of it.
Yeah.
I would just add, the garage, we're trying to create a microcosm of the broader university. And so it's really important to us that the students that are participating at the garage reflect the broader student body. So for things like diversity from different schools, but also from level of study, from gender, like we're looking at all of these things to make sure that the garage is truly a reflection of that. And we're constantly seeing what we can do and who else we can pull in to make it that way. So I think right now, like we might be a little underrepresented by Beanon, which is our music school.
Okay.
But anytime that we can even have like one Beanon student participate, and we've had some like amazing Beanon students go on, including one who is a double major, Beanon music, and then computer science, who now works at Google, who did a lot of stuff while he was here.
Was it John Franklin?
It was John Franklin.
Yeah, he also
great.
graduated with me.
Great guy.
I swear I did not come
What's up,
rehearsed.
John?
I
Is he
like kind
watching?
of yeah, I just like all these great people. I mean, y'all and everyone. Yeah. John's great. But so the long story short is you don't have to be an econ major, an engineering major, anything
Honestly,
along
those
those lines
people
to be
naturally
here.
show up, so we'd prefer that you weren't. Like, it's so interesting when we get people who are like theater majors or music majors, philosophy majors, or design, like they just bring a different, or journalism, like they bring a different perspective to solving problems. If you have a bunch of engineers or business people all the same in a room trying to solve a problem, they'll only look at it one way. Versus
Right.
if you have more people from different backgrounds, different areas of study, it's just the diversity brings better perspective and better products and businesses and nonprofits and leaders in general.
Yeah, I see y'all like nodding your heads very aggressively in a good way. So given that y'all are entrepreneurs, have you ever felt like Northwestern has limited the ability to sort of pursue business on your own and beyond the garage? Like, yes.
No, I
You're
feel
like, no.
I feel unlimited. Like the opposite. Obviously, I already said I'm a transfer student, so just seeing the amount of resources, it's really like I always have stars in my eyes because to have seen other places and then see what Northwestern offers is really just insane. And there's more opportunities than you actually have time to take advantage of. So I'm just like constantly trying to do so much because I just love it so much, and then have to tell myself like, okay, calm down.
Yeah, I echo that. I think that it's really cool to like reflect on these 3.5 years so far here and think about the range of courses I've been able to take, being in CESP, and pairing that with the Siegel Design Certificate and with playwriting as well in the School of Comm. So you can really kind of chart your own path and see these intersections however they make sense to you and pursue them. And I think that's really special. And the garage is like a great like central hub to do that, and try to really make an impact beyond, you know, your bubble of friends or this campus, and really does allow you to look at the world and look at specific, you know, holes that you want to fill with your talents and with your team, and in a way that's like really inspirational.
Yeah.
So CESP is CESP is the School of Education and Social Policy, one of the colleges here at Northwestern.
Yeah, we have 6 here in case you were curious. We've been sort of throwing those words around a lot. We have our College of Arts and Sciences, School of Engineering and Applied Science, School of Education and Social Policy, School of Music, School of Communication, and our School of Journalism, Media, Integrated Marketing Communications. Long story short is you can be a student in any of these 6 schools and you can all be here.
Yes.
In fact,
Absolutely.
if you are not an engineering student, you will still be welcomed, or what was I trying to say? If you are an engineering student, you will be welcomed here. But if you're not, you'll be even more welcomed here, which is awesome.
I think, are there any more questions? If not, I just have one parting question that I want to ask to each of our
Yeah.
friends to touch on.
I think mine is sort of a parting question as well.
I have a parting question. We could do dueling parting questions.
Yeah, we can just like face off and then y'all can choose which to answer.
So I'm just okay. So maybe one of you can answer each of our questions. How do you think the garage has impacted your Northwestern journey?
That's a great question.
Like, where did you think you're going, and like, where do you think you might be going?
I'm just gonna
now?
pass the mic, but I'm gonna leave it here and y'all can decide.
Why don't we can do it kind of collaboratively, like
Okay.
So I think that this could be applicable to anyone. It's not just because I was this overeager freshman who like jumped into Northwestern like soul-minded about the garage. I think it's really changed how I think about myself, my positionality, and like how I want to engage with the world around me, and also just has led to a lot of reflection on leadership and what type of leader I hope to be. And it's I don't know. I think that so Melissa has a staff of seven here, and each of them are amazing. They work in different areas, and they've become like my family here at Northwestern. Like I I'm one of those people that really likes being around people all the time, and older people too. And so they've kind of, kept me grounded, kept me motivated and excited about the future. And I'm excited for all of you that about the garage, and that you can, follow us and see what we're up to. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm definitely going to be one of those alums who's constantly checking in and seeing what I can do and mentoring. And I just I don't know what my Northwestern experience would have been without the garage. It's been fantastic. And I look forward to more students finding out how amazing it is and pursuing it and running with it. So.
Yeah, I've kind of hinted at this, but I truly think I'm a different person than I was when I walked into the garage, mostly because of the people here and the space and the opportunities I've gotten here. I've grown so much and been taught so much, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life when I came here that very first day. And now I have a clear passion that I've discovered of entrepreneurship and going into that world, and it's opened all these doors, especially if you come from a background where you didn't even know those things existed before. It's wow. And not only are you made aware of it, but you're given the tools to actually succeed in that and be propelled the program into that future. And so that's why I'm so grateful, along with the community aspect that I told you before, the family.
All the feels. What was your last question?
I do remember it, but I do want to echo sort of what all of y'all have been sharing today. I think not to be the cheesy, sentimental alum, but I think that was one of the reasons why I loved my Northwestern experience so much, is that different people find different communities here on campus. But I think that at the end of the day, it really is made positive due to the people that we surround ourselves with. Especially, I feel so invigorated and inspired by what y'all are sharing here today. That makes me sentimental in a good way too. So again, I really appreciate what you've been sharing with me today. I'm also very happy to be reaffirmed that the garage is such a special space here on campus to bring together not only entrepreneurs, but I was going to say something inspirational, but it left my mind. If you have something inspirational to share, Melissa, you can feel free to go for it.
I think all I want to say is if anybody watches this on YouTube and is interested and wants to be part of this, we welcome you with open arms. There's a community here that wants to get to know you. We want to support you. We want to help you reach your full potential. So I hope that somebody out there will join us.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
You should follow us on social media before you come here, because they have a really,
what are the handles?
Is it The Garage and You? And they have really, really talented team members on the staff that it's so fun to follow. So if you're interested at all on Facebook and Instagram, you should look us up.
At The Garage and You. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. My parting question is for all of y'all. So it's kind of a two-part question. So how can students right now in high school, or transfer students at their current college or university, sort of, I guess, I don't want to say prepare themselves for the experience that they would potentially have here in the garage, but how can they get involved with entrepreneurship and be prepared to be successful here in the garage or at Northwestern?
So I think, given where we are in the world with technology, that anybody can start anything from anywhere. And so I think just, think about things that you're interested or passionate about and try to see if there's a problem or an opportunity in that space, and then just try to start something. If it's a website or a podcast, or you build an app, or you get a community of people together, it doesn't matter what it is, but just taking that first step and learning how to go from idea to execution, you learn a lot through that process. Most people don't get that right the first time, and you fail and you learn a lot from that. But I think just even doing something like that then you can talk about in your Northwestern application, or when you get here to campus, to find kind of like-minded people is a great way to get started.
I was going to say that, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but there's this thing called imposter syndrome. And so that's when you feel like you don't belong or don't know enough to be a part of something. And so something you guys can do before you get here is really break that down by immersing yourself in the entrepreneurial world through books and podcasts and all that amazing stuff that's out there, because everyone here that I've heard of, we all eat that stuff up. And so while you're home, before you join the garage, my advice to you is to just read all these books from famous entrepreneurs and podcasts that are out there, because there's just ample information to really absorb, and that'll help you so much.
Do you have any recommendations?
Oh, yeah. How I Built This. That's our collective favorite podcast. I actually built an epic event based on that with Guy Raz, right? It's just on the podcast app, on your phone.
NPR,
yeah. Yeah, NPR.
Yeah, I'd say also just find time to, I really like what Melissa said. I think do some reflection when you can and you have the time. on what really gets you out of bed every morning, what gets you excited, and what are you passionate about seeing, other people get to experience, or what do you want to change? And you don't have to have that answer right away, and you might, go on a whole journey just trying to figure out what that is, but just get out there, talk to people, listen to people, and get excited. You guys have awesome futures ahead of you, and I'm really, really excited for each of you. So thank you for being with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much. If students want to learn more about the Garage, how can they do so after this this live stream? We could turn this. I mean, I feel like we have a good synergy going here that we could run our own podcast. Yeah, we'll just keep recording for days and days and on.
So there's a ton of information on our website. So first, I think you could just get like a feel for the Garage by looking at our social media, particularly our Instagram. I feel captures like our spirit. So check that out. Follow our adventures. Come to the Garage website. So thegarage.northwestern.edu has tons of information on all of our programs. We have a magazine that has lots of articles and recaps on some of these trips we've taken, pictures of our adventures. And we also have a robot. You can do a virtual tour. You can drive around the Garage with our virtual reality.
Like on the website robot. Or where?
It's like an iPad on a stick type thing.
It's awesome.
Wait, what?
You can find that on the website. So if you go to our website and then you go to tours under virtual tours, you can drive that thing around from anywhere in the world with the Wi-Fi
drive it around
connection.
Live? Yeah. Like they could like anyone
like a video
can
game.
it.
Like you use like the keypad on your laptop to drive.
That's so cool.
Talk about like living innovation here at Northwestern and at the Garage. I had an alum who I was meeting with to pick her brain and get mentorship from her, and she said, "Yeah, no, we'll do a meeting. I'll be there." And I walk into the Garage, and the robot like walks towards me, and like she's like, "Yeah, I'll lead us to the room," and we like walked all the way around together to we have left brain and right brain, our two office spaces back there, conference spaces, and we had like an hour and a half long meeting where she was like, I learned so much from her, but also she was just like there on this robot. So it's a very cool thing to do. Definitely a memorable experience from being here at Northwestern and really special. Wild. I can't get over it. I still think about it.
Things I'm learning here today. There's a robot here that anyone can use.
Now you're going to get a bunch of essays about the Garage robot.
The Garage robot. It'll come. I'm sure that it definitely will. Is there anything else you want to share, Melissa?
I think that's it.
We feel good?
We feel good. Come see us.
Are they welcome to come visit y'all at the Garage?
If you come to campus, the Garage is part of the STEM tour. You can also just come drop by anytime that we're open and just come check out the space. Love to see you here. If you can't make it here in person, no problem. Just hop on that robot.
I'm going to have to play around with that in my spare time.
Visit us from anywhere.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I know that y'all are all so busy. Trust me, I'm also a Northwestern staff member, even though I'm sure you're busier than I am. I also was a Northwestern student, though I'm also sure y'all are busier than I was in undergrad, changing the world. But, that's all that matters. Thank you again.
It's like 8:30 p.m. and everyone's hanging out. Everybody in the Garage, wave to the camera. It's up over here by the coffee.
We're doing a live stream in case you were curious. See, there's people
it's
walking.
a good place. Come by.
There you go.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. And to sort of plug our office, you can also follow us on social media at Northwestern Admissions with an S at the end on Instagram, I think Facebook. I should know this. I run those social media accounts. Snapchat, if you still use that. Twitter. So just follow us. We plug the Garage as well. We try to feature y'all a lot. And this is a spoiler alert and something y'all don't know. We're actually going to be interviewing one of your lovely friends. I'm not sure who it is, for an admission blog. So you can stay tuned. I'll send y'all the link. It'll be great. And y'all are also welcome to hop in our office, our visitor center, or anything along those lines. But again, we appreciate y'all being here. You can feel free to like and subscribe. I've always wanted to say that. Put a comment below with a suggestion of what you want to see next from us. Maybe you want them to come back because they were really terrific and awesome human beings. Maybe you just want to see, I don't know, more confetti on the floor around campus. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And I hope y'all have a great night, good morning, good afternoon. I don't know which time zone y'all are watching in from, but we appreciate you being here. Have a good night.
Have a good one.